And our guest this morning is no stranger to news coverage.
He's been facing calls to resign just moments ago. Anyway, he's also been sworn in, but he insists he's staying on, has some new proposals in Congress, including water concerns on Long Island. Congressman George Santos, how you doing? What have you been up to, Congressman Santos?
We've been up to a lot, but the newest issue for us in Congress right now is ahead of us is appropriations. And if anybody thought that raising the debt ceiling limit was going to be the battle this Congress, they were mistaken, because the real issue is it's appropriation season. This is when the nitty-gritty gets done. And right now we're facing a potential cutback in water budgets and water infrastructure budgets, and it's just not something I'll stand for. I represent the 3rd Congressional District of New York, where our main issue is water quality. I have parts of my district right now, Farmingdale, they're in a state of emergency for the last 24 months over running out of clean water due to the contaminants in the aquifer from a former plant, which was the Polytech plant back in the 70s. And now it's affecting the lives of New Yorkers. So
listen, it's a problem.
It's a major problem.
You got a lot of problems, okay?
Don't we all?
Let's talk a little personal problems right now, because you recently refused to file your required financial disclosure report, right? You got a 90-day extension. Are you going to do that?
I didn't refuse, right? So I still have a 30-day grace period according to House rules. And
really? It's not over?
No, it's not over. So
okay.
Once your deadline comes, you still have a 30-day grace period, which we will be filing within that grace period.
So you will file?
Yes, we will file.
Okay.
I think I'm going back to when people kind of see what your legacy and what you've done, there's always still going to be a question as to why. And I know you've apologized for embellishing, or lying as we like to call it on the resume, but people want to ask why. And one thing is, like, when we look at people lying this way, experts say it's a kind of way to manipulate the situation and not to be vulnerable and to not show your real selves to people. So I think a lot of people's questions would be, George Santos, without the embellishments, without the lies, would he have been elected to
100%.
public office?
I didn't run, my resume wasn't posted on my social media, it wasn't posted on my website. Look, those are insecurities, like you just said. A lot of people have those insecurities. Actually, studies point that most people lie on their resumes. It's just, unfortunately, it's the reality.
Yeah, but you lied about everything.
Well, not true, right?
You lied about your mom.
Not true either, but
she was,
again, I never said my mother died on 9/11. I never said that. That was never said. All that people like to say is, oh, you killed your mother twice. That's not true. I mean, my mother was my best friend. She was when I lost my mother, it was the hardest thing for me in my life. And it's really painful when you see people trying to say, oh, you killed your mother twice. No, I didn't, right?
Of course. But you did say that she escaped out of the South Tower during 9/11.
My mother was in downtown Manhattan in the South Tower the day of 9/11, made it out. That is fact. And then all this stuff keeps coming up saying that it's not true. I have receipts to be able to prove that that's true. I mean, I was here. I was 13 years old. How would I be in New York and my mother not be in New York?
Well, I'm going to ask you, though, because I know you did apologize, and you said those are stupid things that you've done and it was a mistake.
Absolutely.
So asking for forgiveness moving forward, when you say, I want to run again, but you have Speaker of the House McCarthy saying that shouldn't be so.
Well, look,
how do you move forward without his support?
Here's how I look at it. I represent the 3rd District of New York, and I respect the Speaker a whole ton. Yeah. That's his opinion. The opinion that matters at the end of the day is the people who cast their vote at the ballot box. And that's the people of the 3rd District of New York. And I've said this on and on. I want to be judged by the people who elected me. I want them to look at my work in this body and see the work that I've done and how I've represented best the 3rd Congressional District. And look, I'm saying true to everything I campaigned on.
But you know, having the respect of the people that you work with, I'm sure has to be important to you.
No. To be quite honest, no, because
Well, look, Congressman Torres was just on 2 seconds ago, and he has something he wants to say to you. Please listen.
Sure. Should resign. He has no credibility with his constituents, no credibility with his colleagues. His ability to govern has collapsed, and if he had any decency and integrity, he would resign.
So, your response?
Look, I'm not gonna get into it. He's a politician. He's a career politician. I'm not a career politician. All they do is politic, whether it's on the right or the left. I'm here, and a big part of me being in Congress that really bothers me is I went in there, you know, wide-eyed, trying to really make a change. And the reality is, Washington, D.C. doesn't work in the best interest of the American people. That's what I've learned.
But you got a lot of problems, Congressman Santos. I mean, now you had a campaign fundraiser who was just recently charged with impersonating a congressional aide to solicit funds for you, for your campaign.
Without the knowledge of the campaign and somebody we fired.
But apparently, they said in this indictment, there is a letter to you that Mr. Milei wrote to you in September of 2022 saying, faking my identity to a big donor, high reward in everything I do.
That was a year almost after he was fired. That was after the fact. That was him trying to, I don't know, make amends with what he did. But we had already fired him in November of 2021.
So you did not condone this at all?
Not at all. The moment it was brought to our attention, I spoke with Dan Meyer on the phone. He's the one who actually called me and said, here's who it was, here's what he did. You need to take action. We took action right away. Contacted our campaign attorneys, and he was terminated right away.
When you talk about the dysfunction in U.S. politics moving forward, if someone else wants to come through the same way that you did and embellish their resume, lies about
I don't recommend it.
So do you
Definitely don't recommend it.
But do you think that person should be allowed to move forward into politics?
Look, I think
coming up with a resume that has been embellished, even though I know you're saying a lot of people do it, but is that the standard we want to set for politics?
It's not the standard we should set for anything, right? Like I said, a lot of people have done it. If you just recently look at assembly members here in New York City just got caught with the same thing. But I just happen to be
But if we turn this into law, if the Santos Act does get passed, if people are caught doing this, they should resign? How do you feel about that?
Look, the way I look at it is I've never actually read Richie Torres' bill. I wish him well with his bill. I think that the American people have far bigger issues right now at hand for us to be focusing on this. Obviously, good governance is important. Confidence in the elected officials is important. But I think that right now, if you were to put this on the scale of priorities, I think this falls really to the bottom of the barrel because we have inflation killing Americans that can't afford. We have gas that going back up. We have an immigration issue that now is affecting the 3rd District of New York and Creedmoor. So I think those things are priorities. We can have good governance discussions. I'm all for it. I'm all for having good governance and a clean government. But the reality is I can't give you that answer. I think I'd be the wrong person to give you that answer. Maybe you want to talk to someone else.
Well, you know, the thing is, and you're right, we do have a lot of problems in our area, a lot. But when we elect somebody, we hope that they will not be distracted and they will work on our behalf. Haven't been distracted once. But you're facing personal criminal charges.
So,
and the last time we were here, we asked you, would you take a plea deal? Is that still a possibility?
Look, right now, no. Right now, I'm fighting to prove my innocence. And I think that that's what everybody should do. You have the burden of proving innocence, and you should go fight for that.
But it's a distraction. I
mean, no, it's not. It's a distraction if you don't have a legal team. I have a legal team. That's their job. My job is to work, right? Yeah. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not putting my defense. I'm not going through discovery. That's my attorney's job, and they're doing that.
Real fast, you're talking about that Creedmoor situation in your area. How are you handling that? How do you see this kind of becoming in a better situation than what it is?
Jurisdiction-wise, it's not our jurisdiction in the federal government. It's a city property. The city is doing it. We can't, you know, I believe in not crossing that line, but I do believe that from a federal perspective, Richie Torres, instead of wasting his time on the Santos Act, which he knows very well is just political theater, he should be actually getting his Democrat Party to actually get on board with better policies. Jamal Bowman was just on camera last week saying that, you know, they're looking really bad. You're damn right you're looking really bad in New York right now because these are the policies of Democrats. They need to own what's going on in New York City right now. It's Democrats in New York City that are going to Washington and not representing the values of New Yorkers and creating situations like Creedmoor, creating situations like Randall's Island, taking away recreational space from New Yorkers, from low and middle class, low income and middle class New Yorkers who depend on Randall's Island for, you know, leisure during the summer. Is that fair? No, they need to own it up. This is their president's policies. This is their border crisis.
He did call out the president, though. So
well, he called out the president, but that's too little too late, right? Like, you call after the fact when it's blown up in your face. How about understand that when Republicans were saying it was going to get bad, it wasn't rhetoric, it was fact. We saw what was going on in Texas, and now it's here. Look.
Oh, well. Congressman Santos, what are you doing today?
We're doing this interview, then we have a bunch of meetings with constituents in the district and just really doing the work in the district. Look, my favorite part of my job is meeting my constituents and talking to them on the phone, and then they come into meetings.
You're doing that today.
I love doing that. Yep, that's what we're doing.
Well, we always appreciate you coming on Good Day New York.
Love you guys. Thank you so much.